I think the first story I did on guns in America was about 12, 15 years ago, where I was able to buy an AK-47 out of a Taco Bell parking lot in Arizona.
Where else?
Where else than in Arizona? And then the funny thing that happened...
where else but a Taco Bell parking lot?
Of course.
Both those things.
Of course. And then we went to a bar to sort of celebrate the fact that we just filmed this crazy thing that had just happened, because we knew it was possible that people were doing this, but we wanted to show it with our camera. So we had sort of secret cameras filming, and then I went out and I bought it, and we went out to a bar after, and I ordered a beer, and I forgot my driver's license, so it didn't give me a beer.
That's hilarious.
Isn't that funny? So no beer, but I could go out with an AK-47. And a few days later, we bought a 50 cal out of a guy's garage that we went out into the desert and filmed.
Women
and
like
shot.
it when they get carded.
Of course we do.
Yeah. It's not...
Unfortunately, I don't get carded as often nowadays.
Well, it's just ridiculous. Come on. I guess they have to. But whatever.
It's
come on. It's
ridiculous.
crazy.
I know.
21? Come on.
I know.
Look at me.
But this was 12 years ago, so it's possible.
Possible, yeah. How hard is it to buy an AK-47?
It was so easy. We went online at the time. I can't remember what the name of the website. Backpage. At the time, there was a website called Backpage where you could essentially buy anything. I don't think that website exists anymore. But it's not even on the black market, regular online website. And we went there, and within, I think we spoke to the guy 20 minutes before. He said, meet us here. We went there. It was him and his girlfriend were there. He was high on drugs.
Oh, boy.
He had an AR-15 with him as well that he was also wanting to sell. We ended up buying the AK. But yeah, so I've been fascinated with sort of how easy it is.
How do you know he was high on drugs?
Because you could tell. I've reported enough on drugs. And
meth, you think?
At the time, probably. He was very jittery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely an upper of sorts.
Jesus.
And then, so then we decided to do this for the first season, actually, of Trafficked, a story on guns and how American guns are winding up in the hands of the cartel in Mexico and how it's responsible for so much of the violence that's happening there. And sort of this cycle, which I don't think most people think about, how then the violence leads people to immigrate to America, and then they come here, and, so it's like a cycle of violence and immigration, and guns, and it's all sort of connected. But whenever we do a story on guns, and another one that I did on ghost guns was released last week on National Geographic, and it is the most sort of controversial issue, the hot topic that we can always... So I immediately start getting messages of people saying that I should go back to my country, and what am I doing, and I'm trying to take away people's rights to own a gun, which is absolutely not the case. And it's
the idea that people wouldn't want to know that police officers are confiscating guns and then selling those guns to the Mexican cartel, that you as a legal, law-abiding gun owner in America wouldn't want that exposed.
Yeah, absolutely. And that the guns that people are buying, and particularly with this last episode on ghost guns, which is the fact that the guns that are now these untraceable and licensed guns are so easy to make, and so many of them are ending up in crime scenes across America and on the hands of gang members and, militant groups and anti-government groups. And it's scary. And that's all what we're trying to do as a journalist, myself, when we decided to do these stories, because I started hearing from people talking about how these guns are ending up in the wrong place. And
how do they make a ghost gun?
It is. I'm happy you're asking that, because I think it's the biggest. People don't understand out there. They think that when you talk about ghost guns that it has to be 3D printed. It's not. A ghost gun is an untraceable gun. Doesn't mean that it has to be 3D printed. However, nowadays it's basically so it's a gun that doesn't have a serial number, and it could have had a serial number, and the serial number was scrubbed, and maybe they put a new fake serial number in there. But what happens is, because of the 3D printers, it's now super easy to just print a gun or gun parts at home. So there are all these companies out there who sell 80% kits that have everything to build a gun except for the receiver. But there's a company, for example, called Defense Distributed, ran by Cody Wilson, who was the first one to use a ghost gun, or a 3D printed gun. Actually, it was called the Liberator. And he got in all sorts of trouble with...
The Liberator.
Yeah. And he's a strong believer in... He said he wanted his company to be sort of the WikiLeaks for guns, so that everybody could have access to guns. So he sells these kits that are 80% kits, and it's everything you need to buy a gun except for the lower receiver, which is what the ATF and the government actually considers to be the gun.
What part is the lower receiver?
It depends on which weapon, I believe, but it's the bottom. On the guns that he's selling, it's sort of the bottom piece.
Oh, okay.
There's the Liberator.
Yeah, that is a Liberator. Yeah, so this is all 3D printed. And he showed me...
That's an actual gun, that plastic thing?
That is. And,
somebody pulled that on me, I'd be skeptical.
And this was several years ago. It's evolved a lot. It's evolved a lot since then.
Yeah.
Ghost gun.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a real gun, that
These are
plastic
ghost
thing?
guns too.
Yeah.
And so
But
what,
but if you want to see some of the new ones
are
and what they're making, yeah.
And
now
they-
these are also ghost guns.
and some of that is metal. So where do
Some
they
of
get
it
in
is
the
metal.
parts?
It can be all 3D printed. Some of it is metal. So you can buy it from companies like Cody Wilson's. And then
They 3D print metal?
nowadays, yes. You can
Really?
you can have it's like a polymer. I can't remember.
Polymer?
Polymer material that is. Yeah, that's what a lot of the guns are actually
Like
made
a
of.
carbon fiber
Yeah.
or something? Because I've seen carbon fiber barrels for hunting rifles. They make them very light so that people can take them into the backcountry when they go deep
Yeah.
into the woods.
There's all the kind of parts you can make with
Wow.
3D printed metal stuff.
Oh, one of the craziest things we filmed for this Ghost Gun episode was actually these teenagers that were also making 3D and ghost guns, and they came to the desert with us, and we spent a whole day with them shooting guns and showing us what they build. And they were also making drop-in sears, which are little pieces that transform a gun from semi-automatic to fully automatic. And they're illegal actually in America. You can't buy that at a gun store, but they're making them for 50 cents. Yeah,
Wow.
it's a crazy world.